Greetings, cultivators worldwide. Jordan River here, back with more GrowCast, straight out of the Super Lab. Today, good friend of the show, Potent Ponics, is back. That's right, he's back from Thailand. He's on the line with us. A little bit of a choppy connection, please forgive us, but Steve is doing traveling, and he's got a lot of great stuff to update us on, including incoming Thai genetics for the community. Oh, it's wonderful. As well as his work in Thailand, dealing with different indigenous microorganisms coming back to the States and more. It's an amazing episode. I know you're going to love it. Before we jump into it with Steve, though, shout out to Mighty Hydro. That's right, our choice partner in the San Diego, California area. We love Mighty Hydro. Get what you need if you're a grower from Mighty Hydro. They've got an amazing selection, a knowledgeable staff, and they support community. We're always doing classes down there at Mighty Hydro San Diego. We really appreciate that team. And listen, a lot of these stores, they just don't care about the community. They don't care about this stuff. And when we call them up to do classes, can't even get someone to answer. I've been hung up on, but not at Mighty Hydro. They support education for local home growers. It's tough out there in California right now, so you've got to support the real ones. And we want to give a big thank you to Mighty Hydro for always hosting us. Recently did Pestapalooza down there. It was incredible. And a huge thank you to our partners in San Diego. If you're in the SoCal area, hit up Mighty Hydro for all your growing needs. We support them, they support the community, and we want to make sure that we vote with our dollar. Thank you to Mighty Hydro, and stay tuned, everybody, for next year's tour of classes. Okay, let's get into it with Steve Reisner. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the show. Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to GrowCast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in again today. Before we get started, as always, I urge you to share this show. Turn someone on to growing. Turn someone on to GrowCast. It's the best way that you can help us out. And, of course, see everything we're doing at growcastpodcast.com. You can join up our membership. We'd love to see you in there. Our seeds, our classes, it's all there, everybody. Thank you for your support. Today, we have a good friend of mine back on the show. Been a minute since he's been on the main podcast here. He's made a few GrowCast TV appearances for the members. But back stateside from his work overseas, we have Potent Ponics himself. Steve Reisner is on the line. What's up, Steve? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good, man. Thank you for coming back on the show. You've been an international man of mystery for some time now, but you're back stateside. So can you update the GrowCast audience? Just a brief overview of what you've been up to in your Thailand travels and what brings you back here.
Sure, yeah. Finished up my first 6-month contract out there in Thailand, and then spent a couple months working for a couple of other cool people out there. And then around the time of the elections there, my dad had to have some surgery, so it made sense to come back and kind of wait to see how the new landscape was looking after the election. And so far, it's not looking super great. It looks like the new government's not very cannabis friendly and wanting to kind of crack down on a lot. I know a couple of people that have been raided and other things like that in the last, let's say, month and a half. So it's not been like it was when I was there. It's certainly a different climate now for sure. And
man,
you're kind of seeing a lot of the more corporate powers to be, that were very upset about how things kind of became legalized suddenly, kind of clawing back some of their control of the market.
Man, I was so excited to see that part of the world have legislative change like that. It was totally out of left field, you know, Southeast Asia traditionally so strict when it comes to psychoactives and drug use. But here you go, a few years later, it seems like there's already trouble. That's a shame. I hope that the industry continues, and I hope that they're able to regain some of that. How did it feel to be over there during that time, man? Like, let's just say that it does get worse and worse and kind of go back to normal. You were there, like ground floor, during this insane moment in cannabis history. Did you feel that gravity over there?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly like a flash in the pan moment, kind of like, I don't know if you remember the summer of legalization in 2004. Canada had a similar thing where they had temporarily legalized weed for about a year. Before kind of cracking down again. This kind of reminds me of that in a lot of ways, where not that it's like illegal, you can still buy weed everywhere in Thailand, but they're cracking down on the businesses and they want to squeeze it down to a lot fewer players than there are in the market right now. And they're not really, they want to move everything back to medical only and everything else and make have a card system and all this other stuff that, like, just makes no sense at this point. You've already had it legalized. Like, just let it go. It's not causing problems. You want to do something that's going to help Thailand, do something about the alcohol problem. That there's a huge, huge problem with Lao and stuff like that would do far more good as far as saving lives in Thailand than worrying about cannabis. So
true. But you're saying from a kind of smoker's perspective or a tourist's perspective, it's still prevalent over there right now?
Oh yeah, if you're a tourist and you just want to go smoke weed on the beach in Phuket, you can totally still do that. It's just a matter of it's more on the commercial back end than it is on the front end. But I definitely think in the near future they might require some kind of medical card. But because the industry is basically being completely supported by tourism right now, I kind of don't see them not making a tourist medical cards type situation for those that may need one.
One thing that I was very interested in over there, you gave us some updates on the membership show, but the strains that you got to witness, traveling that very rich and storied countryside from a cannabis perspective, and getting to see these different strains in different regions. You were telling me about how they got their names, and you were even able to collect some of the genetics. Can you talk about the Thai strains that you witnessed, anything that really stood out to you, and how they got their unique names?
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff there. So I think one of the neat traits about it was that it seemed like the same environments had a lot of the same terpene profiles, right? So a lot of the people that were growing in the rice fields had a lot more limonene dominant cultivars.
Wow.
Whereas the stuff that was being grown more in the mountains and things like that was much more dominated by, say, mango terps and stuff like that, especially up north. Also up north, you also had things like more of the terpenes for sandalwood, like up in Chiang Rai, a lot more of the sandalwood terps. There was even one in Chiang Mai that even tasted kind of like clove cigarette, almost like jarums, which was really interesting. I had never tasted that before in cannabis, so that was a very unique kind of profile. But I think the most interesting one we found was the temple Thai, which came from these giant 20-foot tall plants. I mean, the short one was 18 feet tall. And these are all been growing under 12-12 conditions, right? So that genetics is very vigorous. And we had a chance to start working with that and crossing that into stuff. And we'll even have some of that available here before too long for the listeners.
Yeah, man, we got to talk about that for sure. Members, of course, getting first dibs on this Thai drop, but there is a project coming. Potent Ponics, Rhizo Rich, Growcast Seed Co., Canna Thai Seeds collab, okay? We're calling it the Thai Connection. We're bringing you guys those Thai seeds. Again, if you were watching TV, you've heard about this. But I'm so excited for this, Steve. Thank you for doing this for us. It works really well because we don't traditionally work with landrace strains and long-flowering sativas and things like Thais in our traditional breeding work. So there's a lot of members of our community who are very excited about this because this is the type of stuff that they want to grow or just grab a pack and hold on to. So we got to talk about how these specific strains expressed. The Buddha Thai Massive. Now, this is one that you guys selected a male from, and these crosses have this male added in there. What can you tell me about the Buddha Thai Massive?
Yeah, so the male that is on these particular ones is one that was, first off, second most vigorous one. The first most vigorous one just kind of had shitty node spacing, so didn't make sense. But this one had really good node spacing compared to the other males. Also has a little streaks of purple on it, which is really pretty, and had a really strong peach terpene profile.
Oh, go figure.
Yeah, even the pollen kind of smells a little peachy when you get it in the vial, so pretty wild. But a really, really cool cultivar. And again, you can go back and look at some of the Dat Smoke Show episodes and stuff like that we have, which is just a kind of a screw around show that we have on Wednesdays. And you can see Canna Thai from when he first planted it in the yard. And then 6 weeks later, the thing's taller than he is. And, after 8 weeks, it's, 7-8 weeks, it's, pushing 10, 12 feet tall. So again, the vigor you get with this cultivar is beyond anything I've seen anywhere else on the planet. And super stoked. I know we have the Temple Thai Sour Cream OG, which is a super, super soury cultivar that he's been working a long time. That's the only Western cross. And then all the other ones are with different Thai cultivars. So we have the high-low, the high-low Thai. So the high-low is from northeastern, kind of north of Buriram, and that's more of like has a little bit more of like a spiciness to it, and it's like a little bit of like Vietnamese influence. And then you have the sweet Thai OG with the temple Thai. Now the sweet Thai OG on that one is one of the most coffee smelling ones of all the cultivars that we popped. That one and one other one were the two coffees that we found out of all the cultivars. So that'll give you like a coffee Thai with the temple Thai. And then the other one we have is the Freaky Fuel. The Freaky Fuel is a freak show across the jet fuel. So with that one, you're going to get some of those serrated edge leaves. You might, in a low percentage chance, to find a freak show. You probably have to get it to like an F2 or 3
start
before
to see
you
that come out. Oh my God, dude, that is so
again.
cool.
Yeah. But you'll definitely get some like lacy leafed ones that are kind of like not totally freak show, but kind of have like that saw blade teeth edge to it. That's like maybe a little bit longer, almost like an Afghan blanket kind of thing.
I'm so excited about this. So not only are we getting some landrace strains, some longer flowering strains, really from a direct source, man. It was cool that you were able to see these in action and then bring these seeds to our community and to our audience. That's amazing. But then also you have some freak show crossed in there. So Steve, I just want to thank you for doing this is the first ever official Growcast Seed Co. collab. This is going to be a limited drop that we do together. You're really doing our community a service with this. So I'm really excited about it, man. Like I said, not only the landrace stuff, but some freak show crosses, which is traditionally stuff that just rich doesn't work, right? So this is going to be a good little mini drop. I'm so fucking excited, man. We're going to have to all smoke one once we get through this drop, and we'll smoke some Thai together, and we'll smoke some of Rich's Peach Quake. We'll burn one down.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see the Temple Thai cross with their Peach Quake and see how that comes out.
Okay, so one of the other things that I noticed when you look at the strains and you look at their lineage, some of them have really cool names. And you talked about how Thai regions named their strains a little differently. Can you talk about that on this episode?
Yeah, so you have like Squirrel Tail. Oh, so yeah, which is kind of like a generic name. You also have like Hongalok. Hongalok is just like the local weed, or I guess would be like a translation of like, village weed, something like along those lines. Yeah. But they do have a couple different ones that are maybe a little more sought after, but really we popped about 130 cultivars that were Thai, and I think 6 of them had potential and 2 of them were actually worth really working hard. And what was also interesting was there's a lot of stuff that smelled amazing in veg. And then when it went to flower, and once you feed it a little heavier, it just goes away, and it had kind of a more washed out, for lack of a better term, smell. Especially, I mean, we had 7 different cultivars that really smelled like chocolate. Like 3 of them were like really just, one was like a dark chocolate, one was like a sugary chocolate, and the other one was almost like a strawberry chocolate. And then one of them was like a greasy, like melted chocolate bar kind of smell. Like it was like this weird, like almost like a melted cacao kind of thing. It was neat. But none of them in flower smelled like that or tasted like it in smoke. So it was really frustrating. The other thing too is a lot of the Thai strains would kind of get to this like latent slow flower period when they were sensimilia. So like they like delay their maturity rate or whatever if they're not pollinated at all. So it was weird to kind of see that, like they almost like get stuck in flower like on like week 4. It's weird.
And that's like do you think any of that is due to the selection style that was happening by the people there?
No, I mean the most makes sense is evolutionarily, like it makes sense for it to try and pause the wait to get pollinated. That makes a lot more sense to me. But and stuff just took, I mean, we had some stuff that went on, like we were on like week 14 or 15 and it wasn't close to finishing yet. So we just threw it outside, which it immediately melted after like 2 days. Because it was under 50% shade cloth. So as soon as they went into full sun, they just got, roasted. Maybe 2 out of every 20 would survive being put straight into the sun. And that was another big issue we had to really deal with was you can't like root clones for 2 weeks and throw them in the greenhouse. It doesn't work that way, even with 50% shade cloth. So we'd have to take them for 2 weeks, root them, and then put them in a small pot, like a about the size of like a beer can or a Coke can size little plastic pot, and then put them in there for an extra week or so in order to get the root mass large enough to where they would survive
Jesus
well once they
Christ.
got put into the greenhouse. And if we didn't do that, they would just die. So if you're directly under the equator, which Thailand isn't directly under it, but it's not far off, you really have to do those kinds of extra steps, and it does add a week to your production time. But at the same time, there's no way around it, right? Like
Wow.
whatsoever.
Man, so many unique things faced out there. And I want to get into that. But you mentioned these like kind of traditional names like squirrel tail. And did you say there was one that was like dragon's tail or dragon's tooth or whatever? Do you know why they were giving them those names? Was it how they were they resembled or the place they came from or what?
No, I mean, squirrel tail is kind of like a very common name for just like large, like stuff that has decent.
Oh, because it's maybe
because
it resembles a poofy squirrel tail
on it versus like hemp. Exactly. But I had like squirrel tail from like Buri Rum squirrel tail, Chiang Mai squirrel tail, like Chiang Rai squirrel tail, like Utrecht squirrel tail, like everyone has
almost a colloquial term. Yeah. Like we used to say dro. We used to call good weed dro or hydro, not knowing how it was grown. That's just, you know what I mean? Like that's what we used to call high quality weed. So it's more of a resemblance thing than a genetic thing. That's so fucking interesting, man. I just love to hear this type of shit. Now, what other like major challenges did you face out there? I know you were dealing with the heat and probably pests and dealing with your natural environment. I know that you're no stranger to this, but for me, it would be hard because so much of my grow relies on products that I'm used to, right? I don't know if I can just go out into the fucking Thai jungle, mix my own soil, cook up my own microbes, cook up my own IPM. What were some of the challenges you faced and how did you utilize the stuff around you?
Yeah, so we definitely did a lot of IPMO. It's definitely something like IMO and IPMO and lactobacillus. You're an idiot if you're not using those in any kind of challenging environment.
Talk about IPMO. Like say a listener's never heard of this concept of IPMO. How would you explain it?
Sure. So I guess just to kind of finish circle on that with the thrips were really the big issue that we had issues with out there. But so for IPMO is called integrated pest management microbes or integrated pest control microorganisms, whatever you want to call it, or predatory microorganisms. I think I don't know if there is an official word version of that. I know I originally called it integrated indigenous predatory microbes, but Chris Trump invented it. You got to
yield to the man who invented it, just like you and your super labs. But exactly. Sorry, go ahead.
So basically, you do something similar to IMO, which IMO is in Caribbean natural farming is indigenous microorganisms. So you cook rice until it's about 80-85% done, and basically sterilize it, soften it. And then you're going to put that in bleached white rice works better than the regular white rice because it partially damages the exterior of the rice. So it's like the fungi can feed on it a little easier, so they can colonize it easier. So what you do is you put it out in your collection basket. Now, if you can get like a cheap basket, like a dollar store basket that are untreated and unpainted, that really is the best thing to use. We did collections of both wooden boxes and with baskets, and the baskets had a much better positive collection rate than the boxes did. Not that the boxes didn't work, but they weren't as efficient. So you put your basket out into the forest for, 4 or 5 days, depending on the temperature, and you'll collect the fungi from the local forest. You can even put a couple of darts. If you find some local mycorrhizae around, you can toss it in there. But you're going to get all the saprophytic fungi and, a couple of other different types of forest microbes collected on that rice from the spores and, the close proximity. You can also take leaf litter, put it above, sprinkle it on the screen on the top of the box or the basket to help drop those spores onto it. So once that's fully colonized, you're going to take that, weigh it. So we'll say it weighs a kilogram when it's fully colonized, just for the sake of argument. So now we're going to weigh a kilogram of sugar, and then we're going to mix those two together. And then we're going to put a real thin layer of sugar on top in our bucket or container or whatever, just across the top of it to kind of act as like a cap layer. You don't want to go too heavy, but just enough to kind of seal the top, and then let it sit for about a week. And what'll happen is it'll go from kind of this like rice and sugar and fungi mix to like this liquid. And then you can take that and basically use that by the tablespoon to brew up, big batches of stuff. So we use about 2 cups for a large 5-gallon bucket, which is on the heavier side. You could get away with using a single cup if you wanted to breed that up in just kind of like a paint strainer bag or something like that with a bunch of air stones, and away you go. If you're going to do a 55-gallon drum, you might want to go toward maybe 4 or 5 cups and then give it a slightly longer brew time. But with the IPMO, what you're going to do is replace about a third of the rice with insect frass or insects or freeze-dried insects. You can get the chicken feed insects or crickets or whatever. In Thailand, you can buy crickets or scorpions or centipedes or, silkworms or whatever else at the market. But in the United States, you can order most of that stuff online. Order those, or even insect frass you get at your local garden center. That's going to be, so if I'm going to do that same kilo of rice, instead I'm going to do about 300 grams of insect frass or insect parts to 700 grams of rice. And then same exact process, cook it, put it in the forest, do your collection, cut it 50% with sugar. When you do it properly with the IPMO, with the sugar or with the brew will smell like evergreen or like winter fresh. It has this very distinct like winter fresh smell or wintergreen smell that like you just can't mistake. And then when you did it right, if it smells. And I'm not to say that like I'm sure different other types of funguses and things can smell that way, but in Africa and in Thailand and in Oklahoma, it all smelled like winter fresh and wintergreen. So I'm assuming that it all smells that way, but it could be different. But for the sake of argument, let's just say that that's how you know you did it right.
Now, can you use any bugs? Is it just dead bugs, or do you need to use? Is it better to use something like close to what you're trying to kill?
Yeah, you kind of want to, if I'm going after grasshoppers, get some cricket. Don't use the worm or something.
Get as close as you can.
Exactly. But we had really good luck with it. It saved my ass in Zimbabwe when we started getting overrun with grasshoppers. And that was a great way for us to kind of get over that hump. The same thing too with, in Georgia, we had a lot of Japanese beetles hitting the hemp really hard, and that worked really well. And then in Oklahoma, we've had really good luck with it with both cucumber beetles attacking cannabis, but also with blister beetles. And all of those are all pretty resistant to most of your traditional biocontrols, with the exception of Bacillus thuringiensis Galleria. So kind of gives you a weapon against stuff that you normally don't have. Same thing with leafhoppers. It works pretty good on them as well. So it kind of gives you a weapon that you can brew on your own property that, you can spray it in your mouth. You can, drink it. You can, spray your kids with it. Yeah. It's not going to hurt anything. You know what I mean? It's not like there's nothing else that you can buy to spray and kill all those insects in your garden.
Right.
That you could,
pet safe, human safe, all that good stuff. And grasshoppers in particular, and I'm sure some of those other hardier beetles as well that you mentioned, kind of like you said, there's not a lot of good options against them to begin with, right? Like they're pretty tough. So maybe the IPMO is optimal?
Oh yeah. In fact, I have a friend of mine that works in Kenya. I taught him all about this, and he's going back in December, and I'm like, yo, like throw this against a locust swarm. Like I am dying to find like literally anybody. Like I know there's people right now dealing with this in Colorado, out near Ori that got totally obliterated. That was in the news. If anybody's dealing with this right now or knows at a certain time of year you're going to have to deal with this, like contact me, because I'm trying to find someone that can try this against like a totally like insane onslaught of these things, because I think it'll work. Like we've had really good luck with this in outbreak situations, because it works like Bavaria Bassiana, right? Like the more of them, once you start the infection, it races through the population pretty quickly. So I really do want to try this against more of an outbreak type situation, because we haven't had a chance to other than the small situation we dealt with in Zim before COVID, but even that isn't like some of the stuff I've seen in Colorado this week. It looked
devastating, man. And I know how tough those grasshoppers can be. My outdoor garden is small enough, luckily, that I can just kill them by hand or launch them out of the garden or something, But I can't imagine a swarm devastating your cannabis crop. That is insane. You said the thrips in Thailand? Were they like mega thrips?
Yeah, these are far eastern thrips.
Yeah, these are like eastern titan thrips.
No, but these ones would always appear after the high winds. So I think they're being kicked up by the wind, or they've like adapted to air transport, as far as I can tell, because that seems to be how we were getting them, as far as I can tell, into the greenhouse to begin with. But we had to, like, if we weren't constantly spraying a good rotation with them, like, forget it. Like the 5-in-1 seemed to be the thing that worked the best against them. IPMO definitely knocked the numbers back, but we weren't able to. At no point were we able ever to get them to zero. Like they were just
Everywhere.
constantly around, and we sprayed them with everything, like everything in the kitchen sink. We tried, just to see what we could do on the moms and stuff, and it was just we could keep the population very low, but we couldn't get them to zero, and that was really the only thing to me that was like just a super challenge, because a percentage of them are always fucking immune to whatever the hell we hit them with.
Jesus Christ, really, man, that sounds hardcore. What other pests and insects did you deal with?
That was really the only one that was a pain in the ass. I mean, we had a couple of plants that had a couple of mealy bugs that were able to like very quickly spot hit, and that wasn't a big deal to treat on the outdoor. I had seen on other people's grows spider mites, broad mites, whitefly, and septoria. Spider mites, whitefly, and septoria seem to be the biggest one. And there's aggressive forms of septoria in Thailand that make the stuff that you guys deal with in the States look like nothing. Like stuff that will go from like first detection to your entire grow.
Oh my God, dude, that's nuts.
There's one that's allegedly as fast as 4 days. So if you are not putting probiotics on your fields, like, nope, like you're completely up. But that's where, hey, if you're applying liquid IMO and liquid IPMO to your plants, like I like to apply liquid IMO 1 week and then lactobacillus or IPMO the next week, and just kind of alternate, or IPMO and then lactobacillus, one or the other. But if you're doing that on a rotation up until, week 3 or 4 of flower, you're simply not going to have problems, and we were watering IPMO every third watering. We actually just stopped making IMO and we're only making IPMO because we figured it has everything in the IMO is in it as well. So kind of more like an advanced IMO, really. What the other cool thing with the IPMO is, so IPMO kind of has multiple modes of action, right? So you're collecting fungi that will actively feed on and kill the local insects, right? So that's one component of it. The byproduct of that process of the fungi breaking down the chitin in the insect graft is chitinase, which is great plant food, but also an immune response SAR promoter in the plant. So it'll help increase the plant's own immune response. The plant's going to make more defenses against insects, thinking, it's the same as if the plant has a lot of aphids on it and it can detect, the waste and stuff from those aphids. It's that same kind of thing. So it now is producing more terpenes and more, anti-insect defenses because it's getting that chitinase directly into the root system or on the, through it foliarly. So you kind of have this multi-mode action with the IPMO that's very different than, a lot of the other biocontrols that are out there.
Man, that is so cool. The power of microbes, the magic of microbes. Rooted leaf nutrients, baby. That's right, rootedleaf.com, code GROWCAST for the carbon-based, no pH necessary, wonderfully balanced nutrient line. You've heard Nick on the show talking about this amazing line. I use it in my garden. I absolutely love it. We're about to embark on a Seedco pheno hunt using all of Rooted Leaf. It's based on plant ferment extracts. That's right. So it's plant-based, it's got what your plants need, and it's got so much carbon in it. Nick has explained before the importance of getting carbon into the soil and how much more carbon is included in Rooted Leaf than virtually any other line that you can find on the market. Now, my favorite part about Rooted Leaf, no pHing. This was the first thing that I tested when Nick said it on the show. And in fact, I use filtered water and put my Rooted Leaf in. That's it. Skip the pH. It's a really, really good application, and your plants are going to love it. They're going to start ripping as soon as that dank sauce hits the roots. Rootedleaf.com, code GROWCAST for a whopping 20% off. Grab a starter kit. Works in any medium. We absolutely love Rooted Leaf over here. And we got Nick coming back on the show to break down more nutrient science. They've got a brand new version of Lush Green. That's their nitrogen supplement. And the Lush Green V2 is just ripping. So check it out, everybody. Go and give it a try. Code GROWCAST for 20% off. Rootedleaf.com. Good for your microbes. Good for your worms. No need to pH. You're going to love these amazing carbon-rich nutrients. Shout out to Rooted Leaf. Code GROWCAST always at rootedleaf.com. So it's cool to hear from you and working with a guy who invented the IPMO, you know what I mean, Chris Trump. But you were just on the GrowCast TV recently talking to the members about super labs, man. And first of all, you never told me that you were kind of the person to discover that. Like, you invented that, essentially. And then also, when you told the story to the members, basically it was like a Professor Chemical X type incident, that it was discovered through an accident.
Yep.
While we're on the subject of microbes, tell me about super labs, man, and tell that story.
So we were making labs to screw around with at this place I was working at. And we also had some spirulina, which we were using spirulina. A lot of people don't know. You can take spirulina and mix it into some water at like a teaspoon or so per, spray bottle, like the small squat ones that you get at the dollar store. And you put about a teaspoon in there and you spray the tops of your, what do you call them? The grow plugs or rock wool, whatever you use them when you're doing clones or seedlings. You can spray the tops of them with that and it'll prevent algae growth. Like, it kills the algae. It's like some kind of, chemical in it that prevents other types of algae growing. So we had a little bit of that to mix up for that, for spraying on the top of that. And we were making labs. We had the labs open, while we're mixing it all up. And we were talking, and I don't know, got kind of animated and tipped the spirulina bag over, and it fell over on the table, and like a bunch spilled into the lactobacillus. And it was like, well, it's organic. The lactobacillus isn't going to get hurt by it. Like, you might as well just let it go and see what happens. So put the lid on it, and then a couple of weeks later, or a couple of days later, we open it up, and it's like this neon blue, like same color as like the Zoom logo. It's like this fluorescent blue. And what's cool is when you take it and you put it into like a Ziploc and you hold it up to the sun, it goes back and forth depending on the refraction from like red to blue. It's like this very bizarre color
Wow.
that you can't really describe it. But we kind of didn't know what was in it. So kind of did some research, and realized that the plant, or it actually had isolated the phycocyanin from the spirulina. So the next time we took about a pound of spirulina into a 5-gallon bucket and brewed that up. And that had some great results with it, able to resurrect some peppers. My ex forgot to water a bunch of peppers, and all the leaves were dead and they were like crispy. The roots were like rock hard. So I was like, well, fuck, like, it's a lot of money with the pepper seeds that you just fucking killed. Like, it was very pissed off. So I mixed up some of the lactobacillus with water, and I watered them all. And about 80% of them had new branch growth at every dead leaf node, and it resurrected about 80% of the dead ones that I had watered with it. So it was like, holy crap! Like, what is in this stuff so that they can do that? Then we started screwing around with it, and then realized that kind of got the idea of, well, maybe if we combine some of the kelp with it, to kind of give it some of the auxins and stuff to help accelerate it and the uptake and stuff like that. So we started adding a small percentage of the kelp, and it really does make a difference compared to the super labs alone. But that's the story of super labs getting invented. But so phycocyanin basically is the most complicated molecule for plants to produce as far as energy goes for your chlorophyll A through E groups. So you can basically produce that with the spirulina, and then add that directly to the plant foliarly or through the root system. I know also Luna, who is a good friend of mine as well. She's doing a bunch of work with phycocyanin, and interested to kind of see her. She's doing it with a different extraction method. So I'm kind of interested to kind of see if there's a difference in the contingencies between the lactobacillus version versus the straight powdered version, and seeing if the lacto synergy really makes a difference or not. So that's kind of something that I'm excited to find out. But I can tell you, if you have injured plants, like your plants get hit by a hailstorm, you're fighting insects or some kind of mold problem or some kind of other issue that the plants kind of need just like a little bit of extra help, to kind of boost them up. And you can kind of use this as a way to kind of, give those plants a better, faster chance to heal and kind of accelerate their growth rate. It makes the plants grow considerably faster for a short period of time. and has all the benefits of lactobacillus as well as far as the antifungal component.
And you literally tipped it in on accident. That's fucking hilarious, man. Very cool stuff. Obviously, you saw like major improvements, and you saw that it was like added a whole new level to the labs. Did you ever is this something you could like put out there, either as a recipe or bottled mailing to people?
Oh yeah, actually, I have the full SOP for it on my Instagram, and then if you go to any of my presentations I did for I think the first 2 years of the virtual aquaponic cannabis conference, I included it in there. One of my talks in there,
Nice.
I have the full SOP for it on there.
Sick.
So if people want to check that out, I may or may not have done a video for the Super Labs. I don't remember. I'll be frankly honest with you.
Well, let's do it, man. And Potent Ponics, of course, follow Potent Ponics on Instagram and YouTube. Yeah, super cool, man. It's really cool the work you're doing, and I just love it.
The other thing you can do too with labs, like you can do horsetail with labs, because horsetail has thiamine in it, right? So thiamine reduces plant or human ability to uptake vitamin B. So if you like take too much horsetail, you could actually have major vitamin B problems, which is very quickly a very serious health issue if you take way, way too much. But you can completely mitigate those issues with doing this lactobacillus. You would take a bunch of lactobacillus and throw your horsetail in there and brew that up. Now you have all the vitamin B produced by the horsetail that kind of counteracts the thiamine situation as well. And the low acidity of the lactobacillus also helps break down some of that thiamine as well. So, sometimes you can use lactobacillus to kind of make certain plant brews even more bioavailable, or to make them more catered to helping your plant as far as a growth accelerator, like you do with the vitamin B complexes. Another thing too with your lactobacillus, if you really want to maximize it, add some kefir to your natural air collection of your lactobacillus species. It will greatly increase the biodiversity of your vitamin B complexes, which vitamin B to plants makes them grow faster.
Oh, nice. You just grab it from the store. It's that weird milk, right? I've seen a couple people drink that stuff, that kefir, and it's the secret to good labs, is what you're saying?
Yeah, so basically do it the same way you would traditionally in KNF, except when you combine the rice collection with the milk, just also add some kefir grains. And then you can also use that culture once you're done to basically seed your next culture, which is what I always do. Take a ladle's worth and use it as your starter for the next one. Same as you would like kombucha or anything like that.
It's like that Thai lady who's had the soup going for like 40 years. The same soup has been boiling. Did you drink the soup while you were over there? You probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah,
no,
totally.
I didn't know this was a thing.
So, okay, on the subject of microbes, the microbe soup. When you take a look at like home growers in the cannabis space, right? Maybe beginner growers or even more advanced growers, and the way that they think about microbes and approach microbes and apply microbes to their garden, what are some of the biggest like misconceptions or mistakes that you see them making?
So it's a couple of ones. One, people use the wrong sprayers all the time. So they use like a fogger or an atomizer and just like instantly kill all their microbes at application. That's one I see people do quite often. Or they'll mix up they'll spray something that like kills microbes. Like they'll spray like a antifungal agent for like killing PM, and then like drain it out. Maybe give it like a 2-second rinse, and then immediately put in like Bavaria bassiana, which is a fungal anti-insecticide and stuff like that. Well, you're not like, you need to have like an antifungal sprayer and an antimicrobial sprayer, like a insect sprayer, and then like a chemical sprayer. Like you should have all 3 separate sprayers.
Ooh, I like that advice.
Different tanks for them for that purpose. Well, I just also, if you make it like that coloring book simple, the employees don't screw it up, right? Because at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter if I know what the hell to do. Like the person that's going to be there doing it all the time, that's annoyed that he has to do it on a Friday, needs to not screw it up, right? So that's like the kind of situation where you have to deal with, especially when you're trying to like write SOPs or all this other stuff. If you make things kind of more simple or easier, people tend to like not screw it up so much.
No, I like that advice, dude. Separate sprayers. If you're using, especially like a little hand sprayer, why not get 2? One for, like you said, the chemical applications, and the other for like the microbe applications. And then no impeller pumps is what you're saying. Only some sort of diaphragm pump or something like that, so it doesn't kill the microbes. That's good advice.
No.
No diaphragm pump?
No. I don't agree with that part. No diaphragm pumps are fine, but I think that people go crazy. So the debate between impeller pumps and diaphragm pumps mostly comes from, oh, I shouldn't name it, but a particular group of people that have been around in soil science for a long time. We'll leave it around for that. And they're, whatever reason, think that this has any kind of problem with impellers. Impellers aren't killing microbes. That's completely crazy. Like, unless you're running super high RPMs, and then it's not even the impeller that's killing them. It's the pressure in the impeller chamber that's the problem. So the problem is with atomizers and with foggers is you have that in the foggers you have that vibration disk that kills them through impact, or you have the pressures like you use for the atomizer. So that's what's killing them on those. So you can absolutely use the pump with your thing as long as you have the sprayers on it. I really like the Rainmaker triple-headed nozzles. They make a couple of different backpack ones. They're not the best quality product. I'll be upfront about it, but for $110, if you blow it up, every 6 months or a year, who cares, right? Like, not a big deal.
What about the electrostatic sprayers? Have you seen these? These are like the home grower foggers. What do you think about that?
I have, and I still have. So like microbes have different polarities too, right? So like, I think it's cool for like, if I was trying to foliar feed, but again, it's something I would not, I wouldn't trust it for microbial application.
Hot take from Steve Reisner. Okay, I like this. Yeah, I had heard that from Wolfman back in the day, but I'm going to take your word for this one, man. And it does make sense, that it would at least kill some or most of them.
Well, again, if impellers were a problem, we wouldn't use them on reef tanks, right? Like, I worked in saltwater aquariums for a long time too, and all these things were not a problem, right?
Sterilize it, you kill all the microbes in it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's all of these problems that people kind of worry about sometimes in cannabis. I'm just like, you guys do have pet stores exist, like probably near you, that have way more extreme environments than a lot of the things that people like to debate in cannabis. And that's just kind of goofy to me sometimes.
Interesting, man. Very interesting. Well, that's why we need to dig into it on the show. Okay, so I like that. Not counteracting your microbial sprays, whether it's the reason, or rather the way you're applying them, or using another product that immediately kills the microbes you just paid for. That's a great piece of advice. What else do you recommend, or what else do you see out there? People making mistakes.
People go crazy with trichoderma is another one that I see people use way too much. So yes, it's great antifungal, but it also will obliterate, like, it'll totally over-dominate your soil. So if you go crazy with it because you're trying to like get rid of root rot or powdery mildew or botrytis, and you way over apply it, you can totally basically just annihilate your soil biology pretty easily compared to lactobacillus or IMO applications, which will have the same efficacy, but not that same kind of devastating, monoculture on the microbes.
Yeah, because you're right. I do see the trichoderma being used as a very effective IPM. But like you said, I've also heard of its ability to kind of take over. So maintain the balance is what you're saying.
Yep. And that's, again, think of it like a Mulder's chart, right? I think a lot of people a lot of your listeners are familiar with Mulder's chart as far as balancing your nutrients, right? Think of it like a spinning plate on a chopstick, right? You're trying to keep everything balanced. But if you had too much weight on any part of that plate, it's going to get unbalanced and wobble and then fall and hit the ground, right? So if you have too much potassium or calcium or iron, you're going to start to lock out other nutrients. That's how you get nutrient lockout, is the ratios are out of balance. But if you raise everything or lower everything and equal, then it's okay. So, but microbes work exactly that same way. And I think people don't think of them in that same kind of context because they're always like pest or not pest, like, or beneficial, or like they're like in those two things rather than seeing it as like the same way we do with like nutrient web or again, Mulder's chart, I still think is like the best equivalent, where you have to have this many nematodes and this many protists and this many, blah, 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 in order for everything to fully balance out.
That's a really good point, man. I love that. Fucking very well said. Very well said. God damn, this episode flew by, brother, man. Listen, it's always great to hear from you. The Thai travels sound insane. Thank you for bringing those genetics to us, bringing it to my community. We're very, very flattered, man. It's going to be a really cool mini drop. Before we wrap it up, though, tell us about what you're doing now. Just as much as you want to share, man. I ain't going to pressure you. It seems like you're gigging and you got some cool gigs.
Yeah. So we have I'll be well, I'm helping open a nice little shop here in Tennessee at the moment. We'll be doing more announcements soon if you're in the Nashville area. Keep the last weekend of October open. Will be our opening weekend, assuming we don't run into any problems. We have a bunch of amazing beverages and sublinguals and topicals and infused foods and desserts and things that we're going to have available, all compliant with state law. So you guys will be able to come have a great time. And it's a really cool place. We'll be able to do some education stuff there. I know we're going to have a course there with Chris Trump and some other cool people coming up here before too long that we haven't announced yet. So that's going to be coming up. We have Matt Powers will be on deck there, and it's going to be kind of like a cool education space that is in a really cool part of the state that isn't all that far away from society, but is certainly more remote with the long hippie tradition of growing weed in this part of the state. So it's a really cool place in a cool spot. So that'll be happening. We will also have all of those products available through hemp compliant stuff. Well, the ones that are hemp compliant, at least, available to everyone that wants to get them across the country. So that'll be pretty great. It'd be nice to kind of get that back up and running. It's a kind of a brand that I've had around for a while. And some of you guys may or may not have had if you've been to one of my events and I handed you some little powdered products. You know how quickly you can get screwed up on my stuff.
I was just impressed by the taste, man, because, I'm a coffee guy. So when I mix something into my coffee, I don't care how high it gets me. If it tastes like shit, I'm not interested. And yours was virtually tasteless. I mean, it was tasteless, to be honest. Good shit. Really good shit.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time working on that formula kind of since 2015 or 16, and that really perfected it. And we've kind of tweaked it as we learned things. And it's definitely different than anything else that's out there on the market. I mean, you feel it within a minute or two. There's no other products that you can drink like that you're feeling, almost instantly. So we've also had the seizure version we have with it with patients as fast as 46 seconds stop seizures with seizing patients. So and also treated pediatric patients as young as 6 months old. So we've really had a chance to work with all spectrums of the cannabis industry with this product, and we're really proud of it. And I put a lot of that time and effort into developing it. So we're going to have that available: coffees, hot cocos. It's just super awesome, like fruit energy drinks, and that are all organic. And it's going to be great. And then also have a really cool project that I'll be announcing. I'll wait till we get up there, but in February we have a really neat project. I'll be working with a couple of other awesome people that I'll leave anonymous for now, but you guys are going to like it. And in one of the newer markets, so that's going to be great. And looking forward to that. And get a chance to kind of take a couple of months off in between, hang out with my family over the winter. And my sister's having a kid, so super stoked to go hang out and see her and the new Munchkin. So in between projects, so it'll be good times. But yeah, if you're in the Tennessee area, let me know. We'll have some stuff available for you guys here soon.
Very cool, man. You keep it up. Keep rambling. I fucking love the travels and the work that you're doing. And keep doing what you do best, man. I always appreciate you coming on the show to educate. So thank you, Steve, for being a good friend in the cannabis industry and also being an awesome guest and friend of Growcast.
Hell yeah. Yeah, no. And when I did stop back into Oklahoma there for a couple of days, I made sure to see Jordan twice while I was in town.
we actually, what did we do? We smoked like a huge infused rosin joint in the middle of a dust storm, like outside in the middle of a dust storm. Did I dream that? Did I fever dream that? Or did that really happen, Steve?
No, that was really funny. No, so we had like a straight up haboob at his house. Like it was like the kind of storm you see like in a movie where like there's this giant red cloud coming because like a couple like near where he is, they tore all the grass up or whatever. So when the wind, this outflow from the thunderstorm hit, it was like this giant wall of red that blew in, and it was crazy. But it looked like we had survived like 5 years in the desert after like 10 minutes smoking that joint.
All right, we'll see you soon, though, man.
We should have been like, we went to Burning Man.
Yeah, totally. We literally looked like we came back in from the wilderness. We had like the raccoon eyes. I had dirt in my teeth. It was always legendary to see you, man. And I'm going to come visit you next time. So I'll come up there and we'll fucking smoke one down. We'll smoke a legal CBD hemp joint. That'll be dope.
Oh, no, we have THC here. There's plenty.
Oh, what? Legal THC hemp joint. Let's go.
Yes, they have THCA, Delta 8, Delta 10, a whole bunch of other things that are hemp-derived THC. So functionally, it's the same thing.
Stay tuned, listener. You know that I'm going to be streaming from that event when I go up there and see him. Steve, where can people follow you?
Yeah, you can find me at Potent Ponics on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all the things. You can check out the awesome resources we have over at potentponics.com, including the Open Nutrient Project, which we're trying to formulate different stuff from things that we talked about today, especially lactobacillus ferments. I have a whole database of plants on there, so you can find what's high in the nutrients that you want on there based on what plants you have available. And you can also find us over at Dat Smoke Show, DAT Smoke Show, on Wednesdays, where we have a revolving cast of characters over there that hang out and talk about cannabis stuff, all growers and cannabis personalities. So even Jordan pops in over there once in a while. That's right. I'll see you over there on Dat Smoke Show, everybody. Thank you for the genetics, Steve. Really looking forward to that. The Thai connection, it's dropping soon. Members get it first. growcastpodcast.com/membership, of course. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you listeners. This is Steve Reisner and Jordan River signing off, saying be safe out there, everybody, and grow smarter. That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate each and every one of you listeners, and especially you members. Check out membership at growcastpodcast.com/membership. I'm doing streams every single Wednesday, hundreds of hours of bonus content. If you like this show, you'll love our membership program. Come and see us. We'll take care of any problems in your garden. We're hanging out in the Discord every single day. You can come and smoke and chat with me. And we have so much in store for you. Resources, giveaways, and so much more. growcastpodcast.com/membership. See it all at growcastpodcast.com, the seeds, the classes. And we're going to keep working tirelessly for you members of the cannabis community. I just appreciate you tuning in, though. I hope you're doing awesome things in your garden. We've got some more stuff lined up for you on this feed. We're going to be doing some live streams that are public facing, and we're going to be doing some video content for this show, so you'll be able to watch on video on YouTube. It's going to be a lot of fun. Everybody, don't touch that dial. Go do something amazing. Go grow something awesome. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. So I was like, well, fuck, like, it's a lot of money worth of pepper seeds that you just fucking killed. Like, I was very pissed off.